Okay, thanks for joining another daily painting. This one I want it to be super abstract and just get a little bit crazy with it. So let's jump in. I'm going to be using some different brushes that I haven't really experimented with before. Again, it's not really about your brush, it's about the fundamentals. But once you know the fundamentals, a brush can really take a painting to another dimension. See, this one's got like a weird spiky texture. And if you just play around with it, it might give you an idea of what you want to paint. As Bob Ross used to say, happy accident. My mum said I was a happy accident. I just chose to ignore that. So I think I want my horizon, so this is going to be an environment. I want my horizon line quite low here. Let's change brush. This one here. That's nice. It's like thick oil paint. So I've got my colour palette up here as well. So I want it to be kind of 70% this orange colour and 30% this blue colour. But the blue is going to be my background, so that's why I'm doing it with the blue first. And a background normally doesn't really have any hard edges, so I'm just going to smudge out a bunch of these edges here. It's a nice mixer brush, this one. Get you a nice oil painterly effect. Start bringing in some of these warmer tones. Use this one. Let's lower the opacity on it, so we can gently start bringing in these warm tones. Again, at this stage, I really don't have a clue, but why don't we start picking out some weird shapes with this. Probably just do a sideways light direction, so all of our lit areas are going to be this side here. So the more you can plot out at the early stages, the easier the painting's going to be. So if you choose where the light's coming from, like straight away, and choose the horizon line, it's just going to make things like so much easier. This is the unconfident stage of a painting. I have no idea what this is yet. Let's go back to that other brush. I like that one. Twist line brush, yeah. That's quite a nice one, isn't it? Just keep building up value. Let's add some light in the background. Probably just going like straight through the middle. Give it a little green tint. Well, that's a low one. I live next to an airport, which can be a problem sometimes. Right, let's flip the canvas. Sometimes you get a little idea when you flip it. Again, still don't really know what this one's going to be yet. All of mine are kind of similar. I have like a thing my brain likes to paint. I like surreal environments, so it's probably going to be, well, it is going to be a surreal environment. I'm going to try and make it different some way. Not sure how yet, but just keep applying paint on the canvas and just use your experience to just pick something out. I mean, it's interesting already. Bring in some more colour variety. And then I use those smudge brushes just to mess with the shape. Hopefully the microphone's not picking up what I'm playing on my headphones. That'll be annoying. Kind of seeing something over here, so let's go with that. These are just daily sketches I do in between client work. I find they're just important. Otherwise, you're just forever doing client work and you never get to paint anything just for yourself. And it does improve your skills quite a lot as well. Just more information you add onto the canvas, the better. The more likely something interesting is going to emerge. Let's get some more of these warmer tones in here. Change the brush again. Change to the mixer brush. Push some paint around. Kind of seeing something here now, so let's get a nice warm tone and create a kind of pathway this way. You just start seeing stuff from brush strokes that you've made earlier. That's all it is. And then just be confident in your ability to make sense out of the mess. And it is a complete mess. And sometimes just try and imagine stuff in your mind's eye. I'm going to get rid of that because I always do stuff like that. Let's put in a big circle. I'm liking my circles lately. Or sphere, or whatever you want to call it. It'd be a miracle if I pull something out of this idea, because I'm not confident. Let's see. This is really going to test my skills, this one. Test my blagging skills. But like I keep saying, like the more information you put onto the canvas, and when I say information, I just mean brush strokes, like the more likely it is that your mind's eye is going to catch something. It's going to be like, oh, that's cool. Doesn't always happen, but you just have to. There's always a stage of a painting where it's like the messy, unconfident stage or the ugly stage. Portrait artists are familiar with that. Like with a portrait, there's always a point in your portrait where it just looks rubbish. Like I think now it's starting to look interesting. Like it's starting to look like something that I wanna. What's the word? Like if I was looking at it, I'll be like, oh, what's that? It's interesting. Just takes a little bit of perseverance, that's all. Maybe not. Yeah, I kind of like this. This is pretty interesting. Maybe we'll have that kind of like use the lasso tool, have it spiking out like this. Might be fun. Yeah. Right, I just saw something in my mind's eye. Let's have a little bit of this kind of cold colour. Cool colour, I should say. Sticking out here. So it just adds a little bit of depth to the painting. Yeah, cool. All right, let's bring in some more darker values to these bits here. Maybe lower the opacity a little bit. All right, let's go to my smudge brushes or mixer brush, and then let's just play with this. Explode it out. And then I think I'll switch to airbrush again. Some kind of dark red in there. And then like a highlight there maybe. See, I don't really have many light values, so now would be a good time to start adding some real light values. And it normally works going straight through the middle like this. I do love my abstract painting. Right, so let's really work on this light. So the light actually doesn't make sense again now because that's lit there. But then that's lit on that side. So really that should be lit on that side. But how do we get around that? Don't know. Maybe it's just ambient lighting. That's what's great about being an artist. You can just make up some nonsense for a mistake. Oh, it's ambient lighting. Let's get some nice little highlights here. I could start to get something more recognizable in this scene. Like an object that the viewer can recognize, and then it will give it some scale then. You know, like adding like a windmill or a electrical pylon or something. I don't think this is the kind of environment for that kind of stuff though. Yeah, the lighting is all over the place on this one, but that's fine. We're going to have some like rim light, some like cool rim light this side, and then light coming this side as well. So how long's it been? It's been not even 20 minutes, and we've already got like could be an idea for some level design on a game, you know? Just keep painting. And just pick from well, not pick, just rely on your experience. Like, I assume you've done this 100 times before if you're getting into it. You might just be beginner, but by the time you do this 100 times, your brain has worked out the same problem over and over again. So you just apply that to each painting. You like, even if you don't like consciously know it, your brain is pretty good. It can fill in the blanks. Hopefully you guys can't hear the construction. I basically live on a construction site right now, which is kind of annoying, but I'm going to have to come up with some sort of solution soon, I think. Either go and kill the builders, or I'm going to have to move into a co-working space, which is kind of annoying because it costs money, but priorities. Yeah, let's go back to this brush. Look at this. This is cool. This is like instant craziness right now. Smooth that all out like this. That is actually kind of interesting. Darken these values here. Add a bit of a highlight. Yeah, so just using different brushes can kind of, if your ideas are starting to look quite samey and generic, changing the brush could be just what you need, but don't expect the brush to teach you how to paint. That is all I'm going to say. But it can be a nice refresher if you've grown a little bit stagnant with ideas. Yeah, look at that. Boom. Something just happened there that I liked. Maybe I could work with that there. Now we're going crazy. All right, let's bring up the light a little bit more in places. Maybe we'll darken it up a little bit first. And then bring in some light. So I just added a multiply layer there, darkened it up. Now I'm going to switch to this chalk brush, lower the opacity, and then use color dodge. So you've got to decide where you want your most contrast. So like there's a ton of contrast there already after doing that. So I've probably maxed out the contrast there a little bit. You don't want high contrast all over the place, otherwise the eye won't know where to look. Right, that'll do for now. I'm going to finish that one off with some detail. But yeah, 20 minutes. We've got a fun little idea going there already. Let's take that swatch off there. Yeah. Good times. See you in the next video.